Hey Audio Engineering, this is Mr. Goldschmidt. Today we will be working on our two 30-second drum beats. So you're watching today's video and I'm going to be going over how to create your two 30-second drum beats with two different tempos. You're going to create them in the same project, but you can use different kits and instruments and of course tempos. You can change different tempos within your individual beats or just between the beats. We're not going to use any loops today, only one shots for the base of what we're creating. If you want to add additional things after you've got your beat created, then of course you can add some loops, and I'll show you what I've done today. For this project, you can use the step sequencer, you can use MIDI keyboards, you can use launch pads, you can use the Omni sampler, or anything else that you want to use to create your music. Make sure to record, if you record with the metronome, that you quantize afterwards so that the beat fits right with the program. When you're done, you're going to mix this down to an MP3 and upload to the Google Classroom. So let's go ahead and get started. Right now I have my beats already completed. My first beat right here, I used the Spacious Studio Drum Kit. You can get to that by going down to our percussion drum kits and finding the Spacious Studio Kit, and that's the one I used. In fact, for this one, I used the step sequencer. So right now I'm in the step sequencer down here. If I go ahead and click on over, I can zoom out and see the individual loops that I created throughout using a variety of instruments. For my beat down here on the bottom, I use the Omni sampler. So to get to the Omni sampler, as long as we're on a virtual instrument track, I'm going to hit the little piano button. It's under the VSTI instruments, and you scroll down and find Omni sampler. I'm going to show you the instruments I chose. I have a kick, a snare, a couple other snares, some different hi-hats, and some other click and rhythm sounds. To find those sounds to load into your Omni sampler, don't forget we can go down to our library. I'm going to go down to samples, which is all of our one-shot samples, and I can search for kick and find 92 different kick drums that are built in. Click and listen to the ones I want, and then I can simply drag them in to my Omni sampler. After they're in the Omni sampler, I can use my MIDI keyboard to play those sounds. I can also use the step sequencer or the piano roll as well to control what's going on with those sounds. One of the main parts of today's project is we're creating two different 30-second beats. So my first beat down here using the Omni sampler, to check to make sure how long it is, I need to go up to time, and it shows me, oh, it's almost 50 seconds. In fact, if I click the end, it's 48 seconds long. My second beat here starts about 50 seconds and goes through just over a minute and 28, so we're over 30 seconds there as well. My first piece starts at a tempo of 100 BPM. So I lowered my tempo. The default's going to be 120. I lowered it to 100, and I think it sounds really nice at this tempo. So that's my first beat. You'll notice that the beat doesn't just play the same thing the entire time. One of the things we've talked about this far in audio engineering is make sure something is always changing in your music every 4 to 8 measures. And so in here, you can see my loops change and develop as they go through. I add things, I change style, and even though I may change, I bring things back. So at this point, I had a little bit different beat going on, then I changed it, and then I brought that beat back over here. So don't be afraid to reuse sections you've already worked on and perfected. Reuse those sections, change something up, and bring them back. Then, for my second beat, I changed my tempo up to 180 BPM. Just as a reminder, to change your tempo, we're going to double-click up in this timeline above the numbers here, and it'll create a marker. You can title the marker whatever you want. Maybe call it beat 2. And then, we'll change this to beat. Call it beat 2 here. I can change the color of my flag. Right now my default is it's this this aqua color. Then down below it says tempo. Yes, I want to change tempo. My default that I had before was 100 BPM. I can change it up to 180, which is what I selected here as well. I can also change key or time signature. You do not have to do that at all for this particular project, and then I can hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and delete this marker because I already had mine right here. So my tempo here changes to 180 BPM. Something to keep in mind as a reminder for this project is we can add some different effects. And for this beat, I did add some different effects. To access your effects, we can hit this FX button. And here are 3 different effects that I've added on here. There's the Acustica Band EQ, and to check that out, you can hit that Show button and dial in exactly what you're looking for. There's also presets you can adjust for drums and different sounds. I have the Acustica Pro Reverb on here, and there's some different sound presets that you can use. And then I have this Isotope Mastering Essentials, and you can check out a little more how that works, but there's a lot of different presets available for that. Instead of me choosing the individual settings on all of these, what I did is up at the top here we have what's called an effects chain, and it's a grouping of effects that work well together. If you hit that top drop down arrow, it gives you a wide variety of those mastering effects that you can use. I chose this mastering CD4 effect because I like all of these 3 different mastering effects. They work really well, they're powerful and very adjustable. So I added that onto this one as well. For the second drum beat, I did add some loops over the top of it, mainly not necessarily loops, but I added some noise, some reverse cymbal, and then this riser loop here as well. So nothing that's really giving me a tempo. My drum beat down below is what's giving me that tempo, giving me the push forward, and I have rhythms for each measure. You'll notice that I had some beats and I brought them back later on after making a few little changes and tweaks out there. Something changes every 4 to 8 measures, and that's really, really important with your music. The last thing I want to talk about is this master effects for the entire set of tracks that we have up above. So if you click this FX button at the bottom, this is the master track, and we're able to add effects to everything that we have up here. In this case, I used the CD Master 1, and it's got this really nice compressor on the top that I added in, and then this really cool reverb channel, and there's tons of different presets you can get out of those, and I've kind of adjusted mine to get the sounds that I want, and that's what I use for my masters. So today, feel free to play around with those effects on your drum kits. Really cool stuff that you can get out, and of course, email me if you have any questions. Get to work.